With the latest announcement that Electronic Arts have cancelled another Star Wars project, there's been a lot of talk online about the disappointment that is EA's treatment of the Star Wars license since its exclusivity deal signed with Disney in 2013. Since acquiring the license, EA has done itself no favours with the public and managed to disappoint at every hurdle. Battlefront, although being a polished and gorgeous multiplayer shooter, lacked many features from its namesake and didn't even include a single player component. I think players gave this release a small concession, being that it was the first game released under the deal, but that wasn't the case when DICE released Battlefront 2. Mired in controversy over loot box based progression, pay to win mechanics and a lackluster story campaign, Battlefront 2 was an objective failure. But future projects still gave fans hope. With the promise of a story-focused, single-player game in development by Visceral Games, developers of the hugely successful Dead Space series, and headed up by industry veteran Amy Hennig. With the narrative director for Uncharted at the helm, Visceral gave fans hope for a return to form for the Star Wars license, and hope for a throwback to past single-player experiences in a galaxy far, far away like the Jedi Knight series. But EA shut down the project, as well as the studio, in 2017. Over 5 years after acquiring the license in a 10-year deal, EA have failed miserably, and only pushed out 2 disappointing Battlefront games, one of which is seeped in controversy and lost pretty much all remaining trust in EA. But why? Star Wars is essentially a license to print money. Single-player games what many fans want? Just see the success of PS4 exclusives like Spider-Man and God of War. But why hasn't EA made this license a priority? With some great studios under their wing, why hasn't EA pushed for a multitude of releases to keep Star Wars fans and the Disney overlords happy? So let's look at what could have been if EA really pushed for success with the Star Wars license. So DICE could have still developed the Battlefront games. If Battlefront 2 had not been a pay-to-win monstrosity at launch, it would have undoubtedly been well received by the community. And DICE could probably continue supporting the title with content drops and cosmetic microtransactions as a game as a service, which is clearly what EA wants. But they could have even brought some features from the original Battlefront series, like different classes to play with like bounty hunters, or even a deeper selection of alien races and droids, instead of limiting the games to Empire versus Rebel style battles. The team should have worked on a more substantial campaign, especially after the uproar following the release of Battlefront 2015, which omitted the single player experience entirely. With DICE's first-person shooting pedigree, a reboot of the massively successful Republic Commando series could have shown a grittier side to the Galaxy's stories. Visceral Games could have been allowed extra time to successfully develop Project Ragtag, even if it meant being delayed. An Uncharted-like Star Wars game would have been a huge boon for EA in redeeming their public opinion, and with Hennig steering the ship, we can only assume it would have had a great narrative and interesting characters. If EA were working on multiple titles and releasing quality games in the meantime, the development issues of Ragtag could have possibly been given time to be resolved and lead to an incredible experience. With racing pedigree from Criterion and Ghost Games, EA could have returned to 2 very popular series, X-Wing and Pod Racer. Criterion helped DICE with the ship combat in Battlefront 2 and could have clearly used this tech to develop a standalone X-Wing game. The original Star Wars X-Wing and TIE Fighter series was extremely popular in its time, and Pod Racer was also a smash hit on the N64. Ghost Games developing a Pod Racer game would have been ideal, as the Need for Speed developer has its chops in the arcade racing genre already. Reimagining these titles, or even new ideas with the graphics and performance of the current generation, could have expanded the library of Star Wars games under EA's umbrella, and online multiplayer would have been a blast. Now, we know Respawn Entertainment are working on Jedi Fallen Order, hopefully a success set to release apparently in holiday 2019. It is integral that Vince Zampella's team release a quality title. But the lackluster announcement of Fallen Order in the crowd at EA Play 2018 was a weird way to announce what is meant to be a huge title. It's so odd that Respawn weren't at least tasked to create a logo with the Star Wars theme playing in the background to hype the game up and get players excited. Seriously, that's all it would take. When Metroid Prime 4 was announced with only a logo, people were pumped. And with a franchise like Star Wars, it boggles the mind that EA thought a casual chat in the crowd would be a suitable way to announce a new game. Since then, we've literally seen nothing, not even a teaser trailer, so I wonder how development is really tracking, which could possibly be a concern for the Titanfall developers. The now cancelled EA Vancouver game, codenamed Orca, although appearing to have only been in development due to the cancellation of Ragtag, could have given an open world spin on the Star Wars franchise. If it wasn't under so much pressure due to cancellations and failures, the developers could have taken time to create a co-op adventure a la Borderlands, with several classes and combat variety. If EA want to deliver more live services, they could have done that here, making this open world game a looter shooter of sorts, in the vein of Destiny or Anthem. But I think the biggest mistake EA have made with this license is not rebooting one of the most beloved series from one of the industry's most beloved studios, BioWare and Knights of the Old Republic. Why the hell can't EA see the potential for this? Yes, BioWare are about to release Anthem, and Dragon Age 4 is also in the pipeline, but can you imagine KOTOR 3 as a next-gen release title? It makes me both angry and confused to wonder why EA are so blind to anything that isn't an online money grab with the Star Wars license, that they'd ignore one of the most popular series in the history of Star Wars games. Especially when there are rumours circling that BioWare wanted to return to the series, but it was refused by EA. Now, we don't know the truth to these rumours, but the way things are going with EA of late, we can't rule them out. So halfway through their exclusivity deal with Disney, the Star Wars license has had failure after failure, and cancellation after cancellation. Right now, it pretty much all rests on Respawn to succeed with Jedi Fallen Order. But even though it's slated for release this year, we still haven't seen a logo or even concept art. It's hard to imagine that Disney is satisfied with EA's output and are presumably regretting giving them exclusive rights. It makes me wonder if A, they have some release clause in the fine print to end the contract early, or if B, they will give the exclusivity rights to anyone come the end of this deal. If Disney look at one of their other huge properties, Marvel, and the success they're having in the games industry with games like Spider-Man, maybe Disney will see the benefit of having multiple studios develop standalone games under their license, with oversight from the parent company itself, rather than relying on a publisher to control what is released. As I said, Star Wars is literally a license to print money, and EA have just not delivered. Fans want games. I'm sure Disney wants games. If only EA could see this opportunity and actually take advantage of it before the end of the deal. But by the way things are going, it may be too little, too late. But what are your thoughts? Was the exclusivity deal a mistake? Do EA have time to fix the mistakes of the last few years and actually release some quality Star Wars titles before the deal ends? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to Direckt Gaming for more content in the future. Until next time, peace.